Hi, we're Dave and Rachel from the Dave and Rachel Show, naturally, on Pure Country 93. And welcome to the 3M United Way Harvest Lunch special presentation.
This year, the needs in our community couldn't be greater. And the 3M Harvest Lunch is a wonderful way to bring everybody to the table, but virtually, of course.
Yeah, for just $10, you can buy a meal for a neighbor in need, and all you have to do is visit unitedwayem.ca. Easy.
So, yeah, when you buy a ticket at that website for the 3M Harvest Lunch, you're showing your local love. So please join 3M and the United Way Elgin Middlesex as they work to surpass their goal of providing 2,000 meals for our neighbors in need.
Every 3M Harvest Lunch ticket purchased will provide a meal to a member of our community. Meals will be distributed through United Way's partner agencies, including Women's Rural Resource Centre, Next Wave Youth Centre, YWCA St. Thomas Elgin, South London Neighbourhood Resource Centre, Crouch Neighbourhood Resource Centre, and Horton Street Senior Centre.
Yeah, and did you know that the United Way Elgin Middlesex is the largest investor in social services in our region, second only to the government?
During this special presentation, you're going to find out how your support of the 3M Harvest Lunch is making a difference right here in our community.
You know, I have really missed concerts and live music.
Yes.
We work in radio, and we're
Yes.
used to going to a lot of concerts, and everything's been virtual so far, but they're slowly coming back, which is really nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, it's encouraging that we're beginning to, especially outdoors.
Yes.
Still good.
We've had some drive-in shows. We know there's some coming up as well. And there are some local musicians who have definitely kept busy during this pandemic by shooting some of their songs at the PA shop. One was London country artist Aaron Allen. Aaron is a very raw and honest songwriter, and he found his voice with his guitar. And he is the CMA Ontario's Rising Star. He's so excited to share this with us today, and we're so excited to have him. So let's check it out.
So yeah, I think we'll play this one. This is one I wrote with my friend Jimmy Thau. He's in a band called Sons of Daughters, so if you don't know who they are, check them out. But yeah, this was like my second co-write down in Nashville ever. And this one was kind of just like a flash of lightning. We wrote it in like 45 minutes. And I remember after we were done, I remember sending you the work tape and just like, hey man, I really think this is something. And you were like, no, I think this is the one. And then that was the first released commercial radio, and I think it went to 72, and I'm just really grateful. So where music comes from will always hold a special place in my heart. You got a doll, I got a jukebox. Let's get this on, singing along. If you got a record, I got one there. Hand me that guitar, play you a song. It's 4 chords, someone singing melody. It's a throwback to the way it used to be. It's a lyric, it's a line, take you back in time to the soundtrack of you and I. It's in my bones, it's in my blood. It's that sound growing up. I feel it deep down in my soul. Hear that love coming through the stereo. It's that needle on the vinyl, get you every time. Get your heart beating like a drum. That's where music comes from. Remember that old Jeep that you were spinning? I was too busy running red lights. Life is a highway, need every drive way too fast to get you home on time. It's in my bones, it's in my blood. It's that sound growing up. I feel it deep down in my soul. Yeah, there's love coming through the stereo. It's that needle on the vinyl, get you every time. Get your heart beating like a drum. That's where music comes from. That's where music comes from. Oh, yeah. that I know comes from those 12 notes. It's in my bones, it's in my blood. It's that sound going on. I feel it deep down in my soul. Yeah, that's loud coming through the stereo. Flat needle on the vinyl, get you every time. Get your heart beating like a drum. That's where music comes from. That's where music comes from. That's where music comes from. That's where music comes from.
That was awesome. We love our local talent. We really do.
We have great local talent.
We do.
Here in London.
Buy a ticket to the 3M Harvest Lunch and know that you're donating a meal to someone in our community, and you can show your local love.
That's right. And adults are not the only ones struggling these days. You know, 1 in 5 kids in our region live in poverty.
Yeah, the number of youth experiencing homelessness in our community is growing, and those youth are younger than ever. Across Canada, 20% of people experiencing homelessness are now between the ages of 13 and 25. That's heartbreaking.
It is, yeah. So let's take a look at how the Ignite Youth Center is meeting these challenges head on.
So when we first meet a youth, they're vulnerable. They don't know what they're walking into. So that's where we build trust in a relationship with them. And when they come back and they say, like, I enjoyed my time, thank you for what you've done, and the conversations we've had, it makes me feel really good.
You can't miss us when you drive by with our lovely green and purple and black frontage of the building. And it's important that youth and others in the community know that we're here. During this pandemic, it's become even more important as youth have been isolated. And it's always important for youth to feel like they belong somewhere. Smart Decisions for Success started as an individual program with the youth center, but the staff saw it really as an underpinning philosophy of the way they deliver programs here. And so it's actually looking at whether it's a smart decision about food choices, about jobs, about going to school, continuing to go to school, all impact on those smart decisions.
So we noticed when the pandemic started that was a decline in everyone's mental health because they had lost their connection with people, school was out, they couldn't come to the center. So we started to do virtual programming as soon as we could. We knew we needed to focus on mental health and fun things. So we got registration up and then people started applying immediately. And then we started doing virtual programming as much as we could, 3 to 4 times a week.
Probably have more vulnerable youth now than we did before, given the fact that people haven't been in school, they haven't been out, and so the community needs to be ready to serve those youth and meet them where they're at to continue successfully.
A successful outcome for a youth who accesses services is simply going to high school and not dropping out, or applying for college, or getting that part-time job that they've been dying to get. And that's where Smart Decisions comes in too, because it's transitioning them from adolescence to adulthood and teaching them that everything is possible.
We use our United Way funding strictly for staffing, for frontline staffing. So it allows us to have the people here, the caring adults here, that we need here to be able to work with and assist the youth walking through the door. People have been alone. And alone with their families or alone with a very small group, and it's going to be important for people to learn how to build those connections again.
I think the thing that I'm most proud of is getting youth to connect with us virtually, and it's scary. It was scary for us. We've never done anything virtual before. So when we had done our first program virtually, we high-fived at the end. It was so exciting. We had youth participating, they were laughing, And it made all of the difference after coming out of weeks of not seeing them or doing anything. It was really nice. I truly love working at the Ignite Youth Center. I love the youth I work with and the conversations I have, and thank you to United Way for making it possible.
Wow, that is awesome work happening around our community. When you invest just $1 in mentoring programs, that returns $18 to society. So when kids are matched with an adult mentor, it builds their self-esteem, their confidence, and their social skills.
Yeah, and young people who participate in a mentoring program are 17% more likely to be employed as adults.
So tickets for the 3M Harvest Lunch help 3M and the United Way provide meals for neighbors in need, and tickets can be purchased until October 1st at unitedwayem.ca.
Earlier this week, we caught up with some do-gooders to reflect on last year and discuss ways that your support is making a positive impact in helping our community recover. So let's check that out. Hi everyone and welcome. We're Dave and Rachel from Pure Country 93, and it's great to be with you once again this year for the 3M Harvest Lunch and United Way campaign launch, virtually, of course, again this year. Although things are starting to open up, we're not quite ready to celebrate with 2,000 of you indoors at Budweiser Gardens. Not just yet. Hopefully next year.
Hopefully next year. Yeah, that's right. But we are excited to introduce you to our VIP panel and get this discussion started. You know, everything in our community is shifting to a new normal, of course. And this year, as we start to recover, the needs in our community could not be greater. We've been going through this for a long time.
Yep.
Right. 3M Harvest Lunch and the United Way 2021 campaign launch is a wonderful way to bring everyone to the table and serve up some local love.
That's what it's all about. Now, here with us today to tell you all about it are the experts. We're not the experts.
No.
We're not experts at anything. We've got Kelly Ziegner, the president and CEO of United Way Elgin Middlesex. Nice to see you virtually.
Yes.
Virtually.
Penny Wise, President 3M Canada and chair of the United Way 2021 campaign.
Thank
Big
you.
round of applause. Lindsay Rice, executive director, YWCA St. Thomas Elgin. Nice to have you here. And Diane, I got to get it right. I want to make sure I get Piadad. Piadad, who's the Events, Hospitality, and Corporate Partnership Manager at 3M Canada. Welcome to all of you. I'll start with you, though, first, Kelly. It's 3M Harvest Lunch Week. What's happening out there? Tell us what's happening this week across the region.
Well, last year's virtual 3M Harvest Lunch and United Way campaign launch was so successful, we're doing it again this year. Instead of gathering for lunch with 2,000 or so of our friends and neighbors and shooting sandwiches out of t-shirt cannons and all the fun things we used to do, we're asking people to donate $10 to buy a meal for a neighbor in need. And we were so touched of the success that we had last year. Last year, our community rose to the challenge. They stepped up and provided more than 3,500 meals at United Way funded agencies for ongoing emergency food and basic needs programs, making it one of our most successful editions of the event ever. We sold the most amount of tickets ever, and there wasn't even an event. So pretty incredible on behalf of our entire community. So this year we'll be active all week long once again. You can join us on social media, traditional media, or our website, where we'll share great stories about the impact that your donation makes. And you'll get a behind the scenes look at how your $10 ticket goes from a ticket purchase to a meal delivered at a United Way funded agencies with a helping hand from our great 3M Gives volunteers. So instead of serving those sandwiches at Budweiser Gardens, they're out in the field at United Way funded agencies, helping to ensure that our neighbors who maybe need a bit of a helping hand this year are getting a great lunch on thanks to you and your support. So while we weren't quite ready to gather in person this year, I can tell you that when we can get together in future years, I think we're going to keep this pay it forward concept that we developed through COVID. So it's one of those things that we've learned through COVID that's going to stick around, because I think what it's shown us is, people are more than willing to support their local community and their friends and neighbors who maybe need a little bit of extra support. So we're bringing people to the table virtually, and we're still having a ton of fun doing it.
Well, 3M never lets us down, of course. So let's go to Penny Wise. She's the president of 3M Canada and the chair of the United Way 2021 campaign. So Penny, as the sponsor of the Harvest Lunch for 17 years now, I can't believe it's been 17 years. 3M and the United Way go way back. And again, you guys never let us down, that's for sure. So what do you think makes us such good partners?
So 3M in Canada, we've been partners with the United Way here in Middlesex Elgin for more than 3 decades. And it is a fantastic partnership. We're very proud of the partnership. We're very proud of our ability to contribute to the United Way in the London Middlesex area, and how we donate to support the country. But some of the things that we really like, and why this partnership works so well, and why we love working with the United Way is, we share many of the same ideas and things that are important to us, things like improving lives. So while at 3M, when we're improving lives, we're doing it through technology and science and products, our United Way partners, they're improving lives by helping those most vulnerable in the community. We share this common goal of resiliency and how do we move forward, and how do things look like coming out of the pandemic, and how do we make sure we don't leave anyone behind. And one of the things that we really love about working with the United Way is it is a national organization, like we are a national organization. But for our employees who work all across the country, there are opportunities to participate locally, and any of the donations, any of the money that's raised really goes back into the communities where we live, where we work, where we play, and it gives us the opportunity to volunteer and be connected to our communities and give back. And for us in London, when you look at what's happened over the last year, and you've seen the dramatic increase of the people who need access to food security or to shelter, it's even more important that we're partnering with the United Way and supporting those most vulnerable in the community. And we're super excited, as we have for the last 16, 17 years, kicking off the United Way campaign here with our Harvest Lunch.
Lindsay, it's great to have you here today to share a view from the front lines. Can you tell us what the recovery is looking like in St. Thomas Elgin?
Absolutely. The YWCA, like many social service providers, is moving into a COVID recovery phase with a mix of hybrid work, remote work, back to the office, and more in-person meetings when appropriate. We're really eager to move forward with in-person connections and build that synergy that comes with being in person together. We were thrilled to see our summer swim program reopen after being closed for a year at the outdoor town pool in Elmer. The majority of our staff are teenagers and youth, and they were just thrilled to be back in community working with families in the pool. We're really looking forward to reopening our adult education classes, our youth independence program, and our Getting Ahead classes back in person for the fall season, and just staying hopeful for the future.
Is it a recovery for everyone, Lindsay?
Yeah, we're certainly conscious about the health and safety of all of our staff and clients. And of course, during COVID, there has been an increase in mental health challenges and an increase in dependence with drug and alcohol. We are strategically working with our clients and residents who are definitely been normalizing social isolation, and going to be working on getting folks back into pro-social activities and daily meaningful activities, building back some of those old routines that they had, but in a new and safe way. Coming particularly from St. Thomas Elgin, we do lack some resources that are more strong in larger urban centers, but we have this real knack locally to design and develop collaborative solutions to those complex social issues that are still really prevalent in a rural community like St. Thomas and Elgin, whether it's food security or homelessness, housing security, income security. We really work well together as a community with multiple partners solving these challenging issues. And it's definitely needed because of the disproportionate impact COVID has had on vulnerable populations.
Kelly, back to you. There's a sense, I think, now that things are getting better. I mean, there's a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to COVID. Most of us have had our second shot. Things are open again. Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tale of sort of almost two different communities happening at the same time. On one hand, you do have this sense of normal or getting back to normal with workplaces, getting back to work in person, people connecting and seeing friends and family again. But for some folks that were pushed into the margins during the pandemic, they're not feeling the same sense of relief or recovery that many of us are. So we know that the pandemic was already worse for people facing barriers like poverty, homelessness, and mental health issues. And the pandemic has really thrown those inequities in our society into sharp focus. We know there's numerous studies that showed it seems no matter where you live, what city you live in, or what community you live in, those neighborhoods that have racialized populations or folks that are living in poverty have worse outcomes as it relates to the pandemic. And, those are some of the issues that we have a really close eye on right now.
So it sounds like, Kelly, things are, while we see a light at the end of the tunnel, it's not all better for everyone.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, picking up on what Lindsay said, many United Way funded agencies are telling us that demand for emergency food and basic needs are still high. So the South London Neighbourhood Resource Centre, located in the White Oaks area, is still seeing 1,000 families a month for emergency food and basic needs. And that's no change from the height of the pandemic, but sort of in pre-COVID times, that was 100 families a month. So that is an increase of tenfold, which is very significant and concerning. In addition, we know that mental health issues are on the rise too. We've talked to DEA Counseling Center, and they recently told us that requests for subsidized mental health counseling are up 20 to 25%, many from people needing help for the first time. So that's another trend that we're seeing is, folks who have never had to access United Way programs and services are reaching out for help, many for the first time. Poverty continues to deepen as the crisis shifts from COVID-19 to mental health concerns and people dealing with the trauma that they've sort of incurred as a result of the pandemic. And of real concern to us is intimate partner violence. And that stat is really sobering. It soared 20 to 30% during the pandemic. And the needs for services for children and families that are experiencing intimate partner violence is not slowing down. So that's something that we continue to be very concerned about. And of course, I think we all have our eye on kids and what's going to happen with kids as they go back to school this fall. We are sort of watching case counts right now very closely, concerned about that going up, but also what has the impact been on learning for kids, as well as their own kids' mental health and their ability to just be kids and play and socialize in all the ways that we want to see them be successful. So, it's really important to us that if we want a recovery that includes everyone, that we all need to do our part to make it happen. And, Penny has been connected to United Way for a while, so has the other panelists. And one thing that was loud and clear last year is how much people in this area love their local communities. We were terrified, quite frankly, about what would happen to our local United Way campaign, our ability to raise funds in the context of the pandemic, and people went over and above and really rose to the occasion. And I think I'm so proud of what we accomplished together, but now is the time that we need to continue that momentum so that we truly can ensure that nobody gets left behind and we have an equitable recovery for all.
Penny, it's a huge job to lead this area's most important fundraising campaign through the pandemic recovery. I mean, it would be a huge job anytime, but especially through this. What are you excited about this year?
Well, I'm first and foremost, I'm really excited to be the chair of the campaign this year, and I'm incredibly honored as well. It is an amazing experience to be working with people like Kelly and her organization who are so passionate and so caring about the community, as well as the rest of the campaign cabinet who represent businesses and services across our community. Just really inspires me about how important this is to our community and how people rise to the occasion. But for the campaign itself, things that I'm excited about are this ability for everybody to have an opportunity to play a role in the campaign this year. This year we're going to be able to do, every day we don't know where case counts are going to go and what's going to go up and down, but we see this opportunity to do more of a blending of some of in-person things as well as virtual things. Kelly talked about how incredibly successful our 3M Harvest Lunch was last year when we did it virtually. How do we combine the best of those virtual events with other events that are best done in person? And I think that gives everyone an opportunity to contribute, whether it's virtually or in person, whether it's volunteering, whether it's donating. And then I'm really excited about our ability to make a difference in the community. All of the stories that have been told, all of the opportunities for us to lift up those most vulnerable in the community, this is our opportunity to do this. And I'm excited about us being able to make a difference in 2021 and as we continue to move through the pandemic and into recovery.
So there's a lot to be excited about, of course, Penny, but is there anything that maybe is keeping you up at night, you might be a little worried about?
Well, as we just talked about, the pandemic, and Kelly mentioned it, and everyone's mentioned it, the pandemic is not over. Things seem to be up and down, and so there is just a lot of uncertainty. And, we talked about mental health, we talked about vulnerable populations, we talked about people who don't have the security of food or of shelter. So what is it and how do we make sure that we are going to meet the targets? How are we going to help those people most vulnerable in the community? And how are we going to push forward? And I see just a tremendous amount of energy, drive, and support inside our community to make that happen.
Every $10 ticket to 3M Harvest Lunch buys a meal for a neighbor in need, delivered safely by local businesses to United Way partner agencies like the YWCA in St. Thomas. So, Lindsay, when is a $10 meal more than just a meal?
Many people are struggling with hunger and a lack of day-to-day resources. And often when you have to make that difficult decision between paying for rent or buying food, you're paying for your rent and you're going hungry. The Harvest 3M Lunch is really going to provide that opportunity through either catered lunch or a food gift card to really reduce that burden of food security for one day. It's going to be a really big impact for the folks that we serve in St. Thomas Elgin, whether that is a youth, an adult ed learner, a newcomer to Canada, or a woman staying in our women's residence. It's really greatly going to help them bring forward an opportunity for not only that food security in the day and in the moment and that hunger in the moment, but also that opportunity to connect and to socialize, to say hello to a neighbor, to possibly meet somebody new. So it's really going to be a time of fellowship and community building, also in the effort of improving food security. We're really looking forward to it.
Let's move to Diane Piadad. Diane, you might recognize her because she's there every year at the Harvest Lunch. So if you've been there, you've probably seen Diane. She's events, hospitality, and the corporate partnerships, manager at 3M Canada, of course. So Diane, applause for Diane. You guys are preparing, of course, because you're volunteering. So what have you and your 3M colleagues been doing this week?
Well, it's been a busy week. I do have to say it started about a month ago when we put a call out for volunteers. And when we did that, within 20 minutes, we had so many people volunteer that almost all of the spots were full. So it just goes to show that our 3M employees are so excited about volunteering and giving back to the community and opportunities like this one. Like Penny said, we've been at home and people are just eager to get out and help and do it safely. This week, the volunteers have been really busy delivering meals to the United Way agencies across London, Strathroy, and St. Thomas. And the goal is to deliver over 2,000 meals in the next 3 weeks. So just a reminder that you do have until October 1st to purchase your ticket for the 3M Harvest Lunch this year.
Diane, you have done a lot of work with the United Way over the years. I mean, a lot of work. I understand you managed all the 3M Gives volunteers at past harvest lunches. You were a United Way sponsored employee last year. This year, you're working behind the scenes planning the harvest lunch. I mean, you're really involved. Tell us a little bit more about what all the stuff that you do. How do you have time?
That's a great question. The reality is that 3M has a long-standing partnership with the United Way across Canada. Like Penny mentioned, we're a national company, as is the United Way. So our campaign is national, and we do payroll deduction, we do online donations, we do small in-person workplace fundraisers like auctions, draws, and barbecues when we all can get together. And we all work together to improve lives in any small way that we can. And for as long as I've been at 3M, I have been volunteering with the United Way. I do manage the 3M Gives volunteers in the past, and it is really rewarding. I will say that last year I had the opportunity to take a 4-month sabbatical from 3M and be a sponsored employee at the United Way. I really didn't know what I was signing up for and what the role would entail. But 1 week in, and my thoughts and perceptions had completely changed. My eyes had been open to what was happening around me. It was very emotional, but so rewarding. It made me really realize that in my bubble, there was a great need, and that every dollar made such a difference.
Well, if that's not a testament of why you should buy a ticket, I don't know what is. I'm sorry, keep going. I cut you off.
Diane and employees like Diane, they are the reason why I'm inspired to be the chair of the committee. The 3M family and their dedication to our community, to volunteering, to support those in need, willing to step out and work, that is incredibly inspiring to me and all of our organization. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you, Penny.
Well, thank you to all of our panelists today. I mean, these are people who are right on the front lines and have been helping for years and years. And I know a lot of you watching have also been involved in the Harvest Lunch for years and years as well, as have Dave and I. Mm-hmm. And we love supporting this event. So you can buy your tickets. They're $10 each. You buy 2 for $20. That's easy, right? Nice round number.
Yeah, and then we make sure that these meals are delivered to people who certainly deserve them. Mm-hmm. And it was an outrageous success last year, so let's keep it going.
That's amazing. Okay, so you can buy your tickets until October 1st, and they're delivering meals over the next few weeks. Go to unitedwayem.ca to buy your tickets.
We're getting through this, but there are a lot of challenges ahead. We need to bring more friends, families, and neighbors to the table. You love where you live, and we do too.
Yeah, our community experienced a 47% increase in intimate partner violence during the pandemic, and the numbers remain high throughout the recovery. Shelters and other services often treat the symptoms of women and the symptoms that women and family experience.
Caring Dads focuses on the role of men in ending the cycle of violence. United Way funds subsidized counseling for men and the Caring Dads program.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this next video to learn more about the great work over at Caring Dads, a program through Changing Ways.
One of the significant things we know with the men we work with is such a huge significant number of them come with a childhood trauma themselves. And so there's a story there. And our job is to interrupt the violence, the abuse, the disrespect right now in this moment in time with them. Caring Dads is a unique program in that we focus on the person causing harm. While he's the person we're working with, the person we're trying to keep safe is the family. We're working with him to keep that child safe and perhaps the child's mother safe. What happened in COVID was all of the things we pay attention to as what we call dynamic risk factors, which are things that are changeable, heightened and became really flashpoints for all of us to really be paying attention to.
Back then, and I'm talking about the beginning of the pandemic, they didn't have anybody to talk about their issues. So we were the person who would answer the phone and at least say, how can I help you? him being without support will mean that his family, his children, his partner, his ex-partner, the extended family is and continue to be at risk. So we need him to be strong, to be healthy, to be safe, for them to be great. If we can offer what they are needing, we connect them with other resources in the community.
Why would we spend money on men? Why would we spend any time working with them? I think the reality is, you know them. They're people in your life. They're your neighbor, they're your friend, they're your family member. And without the support from the United Way and holding fast to that, we could not have continued to do the work we're doing. And I think that when we think about the sort of what happened in the pandemic and what happened to families and to men in the pandemic, without this opportunity for them to outreach and for us to really grab them and do some work with them, I think things would have been much worse for many, many families.
To me, success means email or phone call and sharing with me. I got to see my kid for the first time, and I'm ready. I'm feeling better than now. I'm passionate about seeing people celebrating their success.
So programs like Caring Dads in the London community give us hope. It's a hope to these men that they can do this and they can be better. So many of them, they talk about their own childhood experience and live in that space where what they realize because of the program we're doing, the work we do, is that they are recreating their childhood with their children. And that, what gives me hope is that recognition of that, and that they work to change that and ensure their children are safe around them.
We can get through this together, but we need your help. When you buy a ticket for the 3M Harvest Lunch, you're donating a meal to someone in need in our community. You can buy your tickets today at unitedwayem.ca.
And as we start to recover from the pandemic, local agencies like DEA Counseling Center are seeing heightened demand for mental health services as job loss, conflict, relationship breakdown, and anxiety continue to rise and disproportionately affect adults facing financial barriers.
United Way funds short-term psychotherapy, single session and 12 session, and DEA is seeing an almost 20% increase in demand for counseling services.
So let's take a look at how DEA Counseling Center has worked hard to help our community during these really challenging times.
The pandemic has really impacted people's livelihoods or their home situations, their childcare, all sorts of different areas. So we see that translating into their mental health, into their emotional health, into their energy reserves. If they were already overwhelmed in one area, then this has just rippled outward. It's just magnified that. What I see in people coming from different socioeconomic statuses is that people who are maybe on the lower end are still feeling a lot more of the impact that we may have been feeling maybe a few months back, because they haven't necessarily recovered quite so quickly in terms of finding jobs, finding the supports around them. And so I do see that there's a disparity in terms of that recovery.
As we start to recover from the pandemic, we are seeing and hearing an increased need for mental health services across the board. But in particular, we are hearing from individuals who are looking for affordable but high quality mental health supports. So we're seeing clients wanting to access our subsidized counseling services, which are the services that we offer for no or low cost.
At first, I might have been a little bit nervous that, we would lose so much in translation with video and phone. But what I found is that we still pick up a lot. There's still so much that can be done that way, and it removes a lot of barriers for people who may not have been able to access services otherwise. What a single session of counseling can do for folks is really help them to learn some immediate strategies to cope.
If someone accesses mental health supports, they might be able to stay in a job or find a job. They might get connected to resources that help them access basic needs and supports. It's really an interconnected web of resources and supports that we have here in London, and DIA can be a starting point to help individuals access the resources that they need.
The United Way funding that we've received has really helped us in terms of being able to offer a lot more people the subsidized counseling that they need, as well as some of the single session supports. It's been wonderful to know that mental health is supported, that it is valued, and that there's the recognition that people need that support during this time.
We really wouldn't be able to get through the pandemic if we didn't focus on that sense of connection, the ways in which we can support each other. The United Way has been a huge support and a huge part of that.
Thank you to DIA Counseling and all of the local agencies here helping our community recover from all of the impacts of COVID-19.
Yeah, we can't predict what the future holds, of course, but together we can support community recovery.
When you buy a ticket for the 3M United Way Harvest Lunch, you're donating a meal to someone in need. All you have to do is visit unitedwayem.ca. It's so easy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We want to give a special thanks, a very special thanks to our event sponsors, 3M Canada, Royal Fence Limited, LIUNA Local 1059, Bell Media for their partnership, NewsTalk 1290, us, Pure Country 93, and 97.5 Virgin Radio. Our meal sponsors, of course, all of our partner agencies, Webisodes for putting together our agency videos, and Charterhouse Studios, these guys right here, for putting together this very special presentation today.
Couldn't do it without them.
No.
Also, stay tuned to our social media channels for updates and news, and help us reach our goal of providing over 2,000 meals for our neighbors in need. And you can still buy tickets until October 1st. Don't forget, unitedwayem.ca. It's very easy to do, $10.
Yeah. And Dave and I are so thrilled to be a part of the Harvest Lunch again. This is something that we've been involved with for years, and we miss being at Budweiser Gardens, of course, so we're happy that you could join us virtually again.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully next year, fingers crossed, we can all gather together for the Harvest Lunch. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great.
Wouldn't that be awesome? And by the way, we want you to continue to chat and interact with us. We have another local musician to entertain you, so please keep the conversation going, and thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Our love is like a good tattoo. Yeah, it just looks good on you. Looks better when you're on mine. 4 years and years to come. That's more than just getting deep. Don't you know it's a part of me? Our love is like a good tattoo. It's forever, there's no going back. It's perfect when you got something like that. Ain't going nowhere, stuck on you. Our love is like a good tattoo. Our love is like a good tattoo. Our love can stand the test of time, just like them something that'll ever wear off. Yeah, baby, I swear it's time. Wear my heart on my sleeve. Yeah, for all to see. Our love is like a good tattoo. Oh, yeah. Forever, there's no going back. Throw me when you got something like that. Ain't going nowhere, stuck on you. Our love's like a good tattoo. Our love is like a good tattoo. Might fade a little along the way. Trust me, babe, it's here to stay. Our love's like a good tattoo. Yeah, it just looks good on you. Yeah, it's more than just deep. Don't you know it's part of me? Our love's like a good tattoo. Forever, there's no going back. Follow me when you got something like that. Ain't going nowhere, stuck on you. Our love's like a good tattoo. Our love's like a good tattoo. Our love's like a good tattoo. Our love is like a good tattoo.